Hello, folks. I'm the old sergeant. Last night, I heard about the full invasion of Russian forces into Ukraine. I had not expected this. I expected Putin to act as a rational human being. I thought he was just going to saber rattle in the hopes of getting concessions from the European Union and NATO. I thought that maybe he hoped that they would give him those areas, those republics he decided were independent republics that needed the Russians to help. I thought he would do, at this point, what he did last time, as only go in and take a certain period of land. But he went full on. And apparently that is still going on. It looks like this is a full-scale invasion to take the entirety of Ukraine. I don't know if he plans to back up in the future and say, okay, we'll leave, we'll only take the eastern part, the Russian-speaking part of Ukraine. Or if he decides to take the whole thing. He is acting emotionally and acting on a sense of his place in history as he wants to rebuild the Russian Empire, which is why a lot of other NATO allies that were once part of the Russian Empire are really scared right now. Last night, when I was watching the coverage, I couldn't think of anything that other than that I was watching the start of World War III. I was thinking, am I going overboard in my thinking? And I decided, no. We have to at least be prepared for this being World War III. It is a result of having a weak president. All around the world, the enemies of the United States are looking at the United States, the weakest we've ever been, as far as our people are split into two factions that can't live with each other. We have a weak government. We have a corrupt government. With our open borders, we have let in millions of people. The pictures they put on TV is of starving women and children, when in fact the majority of the people coming in are of military-age men from all over the world, not just Mexico and South America. All over the world, they're coming in. And you know darn well that they set up a lot of sleeper cells within the United States. China is just looking for the opportunity to take Taiwan. They've been building up for war for a long time, and we've been funding that by sending all our capabilities over there. So we no longer have our own capabilities of making modern chips in mass, manufacturing, everything else. The elitists wanting money over taking care of the American people sent the jobs over to China. And the last president only had a small amount of time to try to start bringing them back. So where we are now is in a situation where we've got two hostile entities in the world: the Russian Empire and the Communist Party of China. They want the United States. There was a general back in the late 1990s, early 2000s, that said the goal, the long-term goal, using fourth and fifth generational warfare, is to take down the United States and not just capture it and subjugate the people, but eliminate the people and populate the Americas with Chinese, because they desperately need the farmland because they don't have enough arable land to feed their own people. And they've been stocking up on all sorts of food and medical supplies, everything they can stock up on, massively expanding their military, knowing that the next big conflict is with the United States. So with all eyes looking at the Ukraine, what is happening in the Pacific? What is China going to do? Are they going to decide that now that we have a weak president, that this is the time to invade Taiwan? Right now, I think that we have to consider that that is a high possibility. Before, my normalcy bias said, no, we live in a stable world. Nobody's going to do anything irrational. But now we have leaders that are doing irrational things. We have to consider that we are in World War now. You may not see kinetic attacks, no military boots on the ground in continental United States. However, I fear you will see cyber attacks on our infrastructure, which means that we could lose infrastructure for long periods of time. The electricity is going to go out. You won't be able to get fuel. And a lot of that is the fault of our government for not hardening our electronic grid, our power grid, and closing down and keeping us from being self-independent with oil. Thank you, President Brandon. Closing down those pipelines and hurting the United States. So, worst case scenario is we start experiencing massive cyber attacks like the Russians did against the Ukraine before they did the kinetic attacks. These cyber attacks are going to be done by Russians, Chinese, and others to weaken us even farther. They're going to stir up the civil dissent in our country, maybe activate the sleeper cells for random attacks on our infrastructure, on people. Right now, we got to consider that we are in a war and we can no longer tolerate the people like Black Lives Matter, terrorist organization, Antifa, and the Not Effing Around Coalition and other leftist coalitions that want to burn it all down. We now got to consider them enemy combatants. We can no longer say they're peacefully protesting as they burn the country down. They are enemy combatants. At a time when Canada has shown that it's under a fascistic government. We are in great peril as a nation. You need to start taking action. God, gold, guns, and groceries. Make sure you're right with God. Make sure you have all forms of money, whether it be gold, silver, tradable items, food. Get that all taken care of. And yes, guns. Get as armed up as you can in all sorts of weapons, because you never know when you're going to have armed Antifa going house to house in your neighborhood, because you know your government is not going to do anything about it, because your government's on the side of these people. And you see what happens to the Soros DAs. They can do anything they want and they'll be let go, while anybody that defends themselves will be arrested and put away. But you got to be prepared for being physically attacked. And groceries. There is a lot of long-lasting dried food supplies that you can order and stock up on. And of course, canned goods. Anything that will last a long time, you need to stock up on. You need to get with your neighbors, like-minded neighbors, and see if there's a way that of what you're going to do if you're attacked. Now, be aware that if you do this, getting with your neighbors, the government will see that as collusion and charge you with that. The government's not your friend. The government is being controlled by enemies of the American people. They don't care about the American people. They only care about the rich bankers, all the elitists, all those Hollywood types that think they know better than you. And we're just scum to them, to be trampled on, to be used. So we've got to fight now to save our republic. No more pussy putting around. We have to take action, even if it's only getting with your school boards and making sure they aren't teaching indoctrinational trash in your local schools. You've got to start local. Take out the people and the material indoctrinating the kids in the schools, in the universities and colleges, and remove those professors and teachers that are doing the indoctrination. They are enemies of the republic. I wish that Putin hadn't taken it this far. Because, yeah. Now that he's this far, what is he going to do next? Is he going to go into the other countries that he wants back? What is China going to do? Our leadership in the West is weak, and we should replace all of them as fast as we can by any legal method we can come up with. Otherwise, our republic and all other republics may be dead. It may be over. I don't want to think that it's all done. I'm an old man. I'm in really poor health. But I'll do what I can to fight to save the republic till my last breath. And may God help us. Really, may God help us. I'm the old sergeant. Stay informed, prepared, prayerful, very prayerful, grateful, and as always, stay vigilant.